Welcome. Today's webinar is on the Totara Report Builder. This webinar is being put on by eClass for Learning. We are a Totara Solutions partner. We provide Totara software. We can host that software for you. We do onboarding and support. That's one of our strengths. We can customize your theme. We can help with customizing the platform and report building. We can also have instructional designers that are experts in course development. We've done a lot of e-commerce setup for different clients. And we also do end user support, so we can actually become your virtual help desk if you desire that too for your end users. So welcome. My name is Dr. Tammy Frame. I'm the Chief Education Officer of eClass for Learning, and this is my contact information. We are recording today's session, and anybody that signed up will get a copy of the recording link sent to you, and I will also have my contact information on that email that gets sent to you. It'll probably come out tomorrow morning. And feel free if you come up with a question that you didn't have during the webinar or further questions come up, feel free to shoot those my way and I'd be happy to answer them for you. We are using GoToWebinar as our webinar platform today. There should be a tab for questions that you can hit the plus sign and you can ask questions, and I really encourage that. I think it's a lot more fun when the audience is interactive, and I think getting what you need out of the webinar is really valuable. If there's a question that I can't answer, I'll just be honest about that, and we will research it and add that when we send out the recording, the answer to that. So yeah, please feel free to ask questions. Like I said, that makes it a lot more fun. Okay, and with that, I'm going to actually go into my Totara demo site and talk a little bit about the report builder. The report builder is one of my favorite features of Totara. It's very flexible and easy to learn. In the past, we would have had to have these kind of specialized reports, maybe a programmer do them for us and know MySQL and things like that, but Totara has made it very easy to customize and make your own reports. Now I am going to back up the bus and talk a little bit about hierarchies first, because they are very much linked and related to your report building success. So under site administration, Totara has hierarchies that are part of the system, and I consider that one of the engines that runs it. So someone just asked what version of Totara I'm demoing. Let's see what our demo site is at. We are doing 2.741 is what our demo site for today is at. Yeah. So thanks, Susan, for that question. So back to hierarchies, this is really important because when we first start working with a client and we do onboarding and support for you, the first question that I'm going to ask is, what kind of reports do you need and who needs to see them? And that gives me a lot of clues on how to build out your hierarchies. And I'm just going to talk about this briefly because the better you build out the hierarchies, the more detailed reporting you have available to you in the report builder. They're very much linked. So usually, once I know that, we go into organizations and we map out the organizational structure of your organization. And everybody's is unique and everybody's is different. I'm going to show a school district today because most people are familiar of how school districts, we all went to school, are organized. So here we've got a district office with different departments under it: accounting, human resources, superintendents, different schools underneath those that might have sub-levels. You can have as many nested levels as you need to have. And you might be asking yourself, why is this important to reporting? Well, it's important because any of these that you add, you can then report back out of and pull by these groups. So in people's profiles, they are assigned a place in this organizational framework. We can push out learning. So for example, if there's a special compliance that needs to go to human resource personnel or everybody in that department, we can push out learning, but then we could pull a report just on the human resource department back that way. So that's why the more that you spend time on this and really think about your organization, the more detailed reporting you can have in the report builder. You can have multiple frameworks. I do have clients like that where they might have just several organizations under one, and they might have separate frameworks, and that's fine. People can be assigned to the right organization and the right area in that, and that can all be shared in the same Totara system. Same with positions. You can manage your positions. So anything that you put here, you can push out learning that way, but you can also collect reporting under these groups too. So just keep in mind that setting up your hierarchies really helps with reporting. And then there's one for competencies. So maybe those go with certain positions. Maybe there are things that everybody's required to be competent on. Does not matter, but the more that you add those, the better reporting that we can get on them. And then you can have organizational goals as well mapped out. All right, so that's my plug on hierarchies, and like I said, they're important because the more detailed those are, the more fun you can have with the report builder. All right, so to get to the report builder, you want to go to Site Admin, and you want to go under Reports. Now there are a number of built-in reports, and we'll talk about those. There's embedded reports, but there's also site-level reports and course-level reports that are built in the system. But today we're going to mostly focus on the custom reports that you can create with the report builder. So under here, what you want to do is click Manage Reports, and you'll see a menu like this. And at the top are ones that I've created in other demos, and you can view those. So for example, this one was playing with graphs, but let's try one more. Yeah, so here's one that I made on competencies. All right, those that you have created and have access to are at the top. Now what's very interesting is that Totara has many reports embedded in its platform, and that's what this next set is. And that means that a lot of the dashboards and things that we see throughout the system are actually embedded reports. And they have this pencil in here, and that means that you can edit them using the report builder. And so if you want users to see different embedded reports or different language, or see them in a slightly different view, you can change those, and you can effectively customize the whole platform pretty much to how you want it to be viewed by your end users. So that's a really cool feature of how customizable it is. Now, if we want to create a brand new report, you scroll to the bottom and you get to name it. So I'll put demo report down here. And here are all of the categories that are in the database that we can choose from. So there's quite a list here. And I think the one that I get most requests for is going to be like completion reports. Okay, so let's just do a plain course completion for today. I probably have the most data that I could pull from in this demo site on that too. If I get too detailed, I might not have any data. And then I could hide it from my reports if I wanted to. Everybody's My Report view, anything you create that you have or somebody created for you that you have access to will be up here. If for some reason an end user doesn't have any access to any reports, that tab will not be visible to them. They just won't even know that it's there. If for some reason I wanted to hide that and just have it emailed to me or manage my reports, I could click that too. So I click Create Report and I'm off to the races. Now, up here at any point I can view the report, so I can see the generic report right here. But I can go back to my report builder, and this is a wizard of all the things that I have access to change. And you can follow them one at a time or skip around. I'm going to go through each one and show you what your options are for customizing and really making this report the way that you want it. So in Totara, anything with a red asterisk has to be filled in, so report title has to be done. I can show how many records per page, and this could be a user-generated report. Okay, so I'm happy with that, and I'm going to go to what columns I want. So the system automatically, this is a pretty standard report, pulled a whole bunch that most people want in a course completion report. So it's got the user's name, the course name, their organization name, their position, their completion position name, their completion status, and the completion date. Now, if I want to delete any of these, I can, or hide them. And I'm going to delete that one, and I'll delete this one too. Then under here, if I want to add information, anything that I have access to in the database, I can pull. So this is where it gets really fun. We don't have to do any programming. We can just click and pick. And if so these would be things that people might want for course completion. So that comes out first. Here's all my user profile fields. Now, if I add a custom user profile field, it shows up in this list. So that's kind of nice. So let's say for some reason I want their phone number. Okay, and I can just add that. What else can we add? So we could ask course completion data that it has, user data, information about the course, what category, any tags, or things like that. So there's quite a list of things we can add to our report that we have access to. If I want to change the order that these columns will appear, I have up and down arrows, so I'm welcome to do that with my, okay, and I'll put the phone number up a little bit. Now, Totara will count certain things for you, or do some aggregation of numbers for you. So let's say I want to know the completion status. I could go to count unique, and it will aggregate like how many are complete, how many are in process, how many are not started for me. Okay. Now in this column, this renames it. So this is what it's called in the database. But if I want to name it something else, maybe in our organization, I prefer name. And maybe here I say compliance course. In the old days, again, you would have had to program all of this, but now we can just rename it. And so it knows, okay, course name on the report now equals compliance course. Okay. Now down here, we get to decide which one will we put them in order of. So are we going to order them by name, for example? So I'll do it by the user's full name, and then A to Z or Z to A. So I'll do A to Z, and then I save my changes. So again, anytime I want to view my report, I can. So here I've got the names, my compliance course, the organization, user's position, completion status. Okay, that's not a very exciting thing. And the completion date and their positions. Okay. Now, if I want to go back and work on it some more, I can. The next part is graph, and there are a number of graphs created. I don't think my graph's going to be very exciting because I have a 1 in all of those, but we can give it a try. Maybe a horizontal bar. You have to say what it is you want. What do you want it to be? Okay. And then how many records that it'll include. I have a feeling this is going to be a funny looking graph. It's telling me I didn't pick the right thing. So let's try this. Sometimes you have to have a good use case for this. I'm not sure that I do. Last try, and then we'll move on. I have some better examples of graphs I've made in the past. Okay, so it's got to be something that's graphable. Let's try that one. This will be a lot, though. Okay, so I haven't picked something that's graphable. I probably don't have enough data in there either. Not sure when I have all ones that's going to look so awesome for me. But later I can show you some that I have where I have made graphs before and kind of what that looks like. And you can always play with them in different formats and see what they look like. Now the filters is what you want to be able to sort by. When you get your report, it will be both, and I'll demo this in a minute, in a web format and in a you can downloadable like an Excel or a CSV file that you can get too. On the online version, it'll have the things that are unchecked will be right at the top, and then the checked things are things that you could click for more for filtering by, and there are more things that we could add to. So okay, we'll put that under the more. So when I save this, we'll go in and look at it. When I go to view this report, right now, the only one that we had unchecked is the user's full name. So, but if I go to show more, these are the other things that we had checked that we could sort by. So a lot of times when people tell me what kinds of reports they want, I might be using some of these filters to help get the data that they want. Okay. And then, let's see, is equal to, sure, and these are where the linkage is to the hierarchies. So we'll see if we have any TAMIs in there. We can search. We didn't. Okay. If I go back, we'll just see if I'm in the system somewhere. Okay, and it is. So under here, these are the compliance courses and the completions that I have. Okay. So that can be very helpful in getting certain data that you want. You can export these, as I said, down here in Excel, CSV, ODS, Google Fusion, PDF, and landscape and portrait. Okay. If we go back to this report and underneath filters, let me just see if there's anything else that we want to do. We can go to content next. Now the content is very, very powerful. It does take some getting used to, and when we onboard you, this is where that question becomes very, very important of what reports do you want to see and who should see them. So this kind of has to do with the rolling up of data. So for example, you could have a report where the CEO sees everybody's completion data, but maybe you want the regional manager to only see his division or his region's and nobody else's data. And you can do that all in one report by using these radio buttons. So instead of show all records, we might do any or all of the criteria below. And you could do things like at or below a user's position. So that means that if I were a manager of a region, my whole region's data is what I would see, okay? But another regional manager would see their region. And this is where those hierarchies become very, very important because that's how everybody's position is linked to their profile and where they are in the organization, and that's how it knows how to populate the data for the appropriate person. So this can be very important. You could do the same. This was under position, but you could do the same for where they are in the organization. Child organizations. You could do based on a user or their direct reports, for instance. And you can also show when you want that report to show, okay? And then we can save changes. I'm not sure how much data we have in this demo one, not a lot, okay, but we're also doing this by Tammy, so let's clear it. And now we have quite a bit more, okay, that we can show. All right, back to my report. And so when I'm building these, I do like to check a lot how it's coming and kind of tweak them as I go. And I like that we can just make changes on the fly. The other one is, this is another option you have, is who's going to have access to this report? Oh, great. I have a question. Can you set up specific time rangers other than what was listed, for instance, by quarter? Excellent question. Let's go back and look under our filters because I'm not sure exactly. And let's see if we can set a filter for a date. Let's just do date enrolled. This is probably how I would do it, and I'm just playing here. And now I think I would do something like this. Something like that. And then I could, okay, of course I didn't. Let's try an earlier date, January, and see if I've got anything. Still not enough data. Being a demo site and having all fake users in here, we don't have a lot of data, but is between today and so many days for date of report generation, is between today and days after date for report generation. So would that help, Suzanne? Would that help get, you could filter out the data that you wanted and get that range? I often use these filters and create filters to get exactly what I want. Yeah, okay, I think so. I think so too. The nice thing is that you can click around, try it, come back and see if it gave you what you want and keep tweaking it. So that's what I enjoy. I can usually get what I want if I just am willing to play a little bit and try it. Okay, excellent question. So when we were back here, we're talking about who has access, and you could say that all users have a report. Now, if you did a report where it was at or below their position, they might only see their data if they don't have anybody reporting to them or in the organization. Or if you don't want to have access for everybody, you have some other options like you have to have a role in the system, and so these are different roles that can exist. You can create additional roles, and then they would show up here too. And you could, let's say I wanted an editing trainers to see it too, and they could see it. Now, if you were an editing trainer in my reports, or a site manager, that would show up here as well. Okay. In performance, I don't use this one as much. This would be if you wanted to schedule how often this is run. Otherwise, it can be live and up to date. The only reason that I could think of doing this is if you have thousands of, tens of thousands of records, and you have a very, very big data site, and your report is going to be huge, and you don't want to slow down the servers or something like that, and I'm talking like hundreds of thousands, maybe you schedule that at 1 in the morning when it caches and when it does and when it'll be updated in my reports. Usually I just leave this blank and I view this report live. Now, another thing that you can do is schedule these reports once they're created. So if I wanted my course completion status, I can schedule what format I want, all of the data, how often do I want to get this, and maybe weekly or monthly, and I can schedule how that's going to occur. That'll come to me in an email. Okay, now if I want to schedule it for other people, maybe I want every manager to get their compliance records for their group, I could go to add audiences. Audiences are another way that you can group people. It doesn't have to be by the hierarchies. So there are things, so if I wanted all, this could have been done by position, but I have a dynamic audience group. Now they're all going to get that Excel at a monthly on the first Sunday. I could also have specific users do that too. I could set up an audience. This is under users where I set up my audiences, and I could have it by position or place in the hierarchy and push it out that way and create an audience that way. Or maybe an external person who's not in the system, and we just add their email and they'll get this report too. So those can be scheduled, and then they show up, and so when the person clicks on my reports, they can see either ones that they've created or that have been assigned to them, and then when it's scheduled, and they'll get an email on that one too, and an alert on their My Learning dashboard. Okay, that is a lot of the report builder. In a nutshell. I did have one question ahead of time, and I don't know if this person's on, but I'm going to go ahead and answer this one while you maybe think of other questions that you have. They asked about WordPress data and how we would get that in here. And we happen to do a lot with WordPress. That's one of the systems that we support. We do a lot with WordPress and their databases, especially when we do e-commerce setups for selling courses. And we have some plugins that we use, especially for registration, where they register in the WordPress, and it brings all of the data into Totara for us. And you can add custom profile fields if you want to the profiles, and you can have that data automatically brought over. And then now, because it's part of the profile and under user, in the report builder, when we were on those columns and different things, that will show up. That custom profile field is one of the things that we can choose to have a column done or to filter by. So that becomes very useful. So yes, you can do an integration with WordPress. Totara is very highly interoperable, and we do have some system integration specialists that do work on integrating to other systems and having data go back and forth. And then when that data, especially if it's part of the user profile, is there, even if it's a new custom, we can sort by it, we can create reports, we can filter by it. So that is very, very useful. Does anybody else have any questions for me on the report builder? And again, when we do our onboarding and support, I think the number one question, I kind of suggest this backwards design. Make a list in your organization of what reports you need and who needs them. And then from there, that can really inform how to build out your hierarchies. Or if there's already a system report already that exists that already has the data, or a course report that already exists that you need, or if you need to create your own. So that would be my recommendation for getting started. Okay, so it says I logged into my Totara LMS system. And Suzanne, one thing is you might need a different role. Okay, so if you are not a site admin, you might need permission to have the report builder. So under site admin, what she's saying is she doesn't see report builder, and it could be what role you have, but you can customize roles too. And so the first thing you want to check to see if you have access is under Site Admin, Reports, Report Builder, and then Manage Reports. Now, if you don't see that, you might not have the Site Admin block, or you might only have pieces of it. And under Users, there's some things that they could do. One, if they want to bump you up to Site Admin, they can. So under accounts, well, actually this would be under permissions. So site administrators are under here, and what they can do is find you and add you. Okay, so these are our site admin right here. You could also, there's other system roles in here, course creator and staff manager. But they may not have the report builder, but you can add those things. So under define roles, let's say you are a course creator, we can go in here and add permissions to make them accessible to the report builder. And in here are all the things that are allowed or not allowed. And we can help with this too, because I have people that are really expert on all of this and customize roles. We do recommend that you copy the default and rename it, just so you can do that. But then what you could do is find the report builder and allow it for your role. And then you may see site admin and maybe everything isn't available for you except for the report builder. So either have them bump you up to site admin, or find out what role you have and ask them to give you the permission in that role to have the report builder. And we could help offline with that too if we knew what roles you have, and we could tell you exactly what permissions need to be checked. So that's how I would go about solving that. Yeah, great question. And you know, in your organization, if more people need that, you can change the roles to make that accessible. And that's what I like about Totara, is it's very, very customizable to what you need it to do. And that's what we try to understand when we're onboarding and support. What do you need, and how can we use all of the tools available to us to get it to do the things that you need? Because out of the box it has a lot of features, but the main question is not maybe wasting your time learning every feature. It's how do we get this working for what your organization needs it to do? Great. Those were excellent questions. So many thanks to Suzanne for posting those. If you think of other questions or other things that you want to see, feel free to email those to me when I send the recording from today. Like I said, it's not a long webinar because it's pretty easy to do. I think the best way to work with the report builder is when I have a use case. You know, I'm trying to get a report out on this, then I can customize it and show you how we would pull down and use those radio buttons to get exactly what you want. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I will, like I said, probably have the recording link out to you tomorrow, and if more questions come up, okay, and Suzanne said that I was right. Um, she can change her role to include the report builder, and then she'd be ready for the races, and she'll be able to create her own reports. Awesome. Great. Well, thanks so much, and have a good rest of the day, everyone, and look for the recording early tomorrow.